Okay, good evening everyone. Welcome to the Planning and Highways Committee online version on the 27th of August 2020, 7 p.m. just after, on a sort of a cloudy evening, but raining today in Seaford and the near area. Right, so in front of you is the agenda. The format's roughly going to be the same as if we were meeting in person. I don't need to go through the H&S side of things. It's not really necessary. We're not expecting any guests at the moment, so yeah, we're not expecting any sort of members of the public rather as opposed to guests. So it's just us. I haven't got to go through all that. So I think we'll make a start. Agenda item number 1: apologies for absence of declaration of substitute members.
I'm substituting for Linda.
Right. Okay.
Thank you.
That's it, isn't it? Really? Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Item 2: declarations of interest. Sorry. Well, can we have the? So let's turn off the. I think let's have a bit of etiquette. Let's turn off unless you're speaking. Can we turn off?
I am speaking actually, Councillor.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Go on, Councillor Lord. Go on. Can we turn off the sound, please, in a second? Yeah, because it's causing a bit of issue.
I will turn it off in a second, Councillor. I sent my apologies for the last meeting because I had an interest in one of the items on the agenda.
Yep.
And it was noted that there was no apologies for absence, and I sent my apologies. I just want that to be minuted. Thank you, Councillor.
Okay, that's fine. Can you take note of that, Jeff, for the previous minutes? So I'm going to. So can everyone? Yeah, unless you're speaking. Thank you for that, Councillor Lord. And that item about your establishment, that doesn't exist, does it, on today's agenda? Can we get that clarified? Because there was nothing. Right. So that's a Duff entry.
That was the last agenda, Councillor. Thank you.
Okay, that's fine. So that's the 0478. That's already been dealt with. Councillor Edson.
On the last agenda, it was by Buckle Court. That's what Councillor Lord's referring to. On this agenda, it's 18 College Road, but that won't be discussed because it's on there by mistake, because Lewes District Council notified us of the application before it was validated. So there won't be any discussion on that item other than to say that once it's validated, it will be notified to us and appear on the agenda. So there's no, if Councillor Law was thinking of declaring an interest in that, then obviously that he should do that, but he doesn't need to think about leaving the debate for that, because there won't be any discussion on it, because there's nothing to discuss as yet. Nothing has been posted on the website as far as I can tell.
So are you happy for me just to skip right past that? Would that be the right etiquette? Because you can't really view it.
I think as it's sorry Jeb, as it's appeared on the agenda, because when the agenda was drawn up, it was all we knew was that we'd been notified that there was an application. It turned out that was premature, but as it's on the agenda, I think when we come to that application of 18 College Road, if I just explain what I've just explained, that it's on there prematurely, and then you just note that, then we can move on to the next item. But it needs to be mentioned because it's on the agenda, and if it doesn't appear in the minutes, then it will look odd. You know. Okay,
we'll just mention it in passing as such. Yeah, so that'd be great. I'm sure there'll be no problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
So we can skip item number. Sorry, Councillor Edson.
He's mute.
You're muted, Councillor.
I should have done that. Anyway, yeah, I've got a list here. Weekend in the 22nd of August. From Lewis, are we going to be speaking about that?
Only what's on the agenda.
Well, there's a couple of them on there for Seaford.
I know. There's been a bit of a mix-up recently at Lewis. Applications have been notified to me and have appeared on sort of retrospective lists. Have been sudden. You know, you think that maybe by now the list for the week beginning the 9th of August or something has been closed. but sometimes you find, or if you go back 3 weeks, you find items have been added to it. There may be some items in the weekly list that I sent to you the other day that I wasn't notified of until after this agenda was drawn up, and they'll go on the next agenda for the 17th of September. There's one for 17 Rookery Way, I think.
That's the one I was going to talk about.
Well,
Yeah.
I wasn't notified of that until after the agenda, but it's been put on a weekly list for last week or the week before, and it's a bit confusing. And but I can assure you that I won't miss anything, and that any application you've seen which is not on this agenda will be on the next one. Okay.
You happy with that, Councillor? You happy with that?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Fantastic. Right. Okay, so we haven't got to deal with item number 3, public participation, because that's all. We haven't got any members of the public. So let's move on to the planning.
Just going back to disclosure of interest. Shall I record a disclosure of interest for Councillor Lord for 18 College Road? Just
well, as it's on there, I think we mentioned it in passing, but we're not discussing it anyway, are we?
No, so, exactly, but just for the record.
Yeah.
Chair,
Lord, yeah.
Yes, you're quite correct. I have disclosure interest. I wasn't aware it was on this particular council agenda until I received it. The reason being is that Lewis District Council we paid the planning department some money, and then this 5 days ago we want some more money to submit the application. So as far as I'm concerned, the application not been submitted. But as far as I'm concerned, yes, I have an interest in 18 College Road, Seaford. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it would look okay better on the minutes if that was said, even though there's no discussion going to take place on it today. But so I'll do that anyway. Thank you.
Okay, thank you everyone for that. Right, so planning applications. This is agenda item 4. Applications received week commencing the 2nd of August 2020. LW 200508 14 Corsica Close. That's the cube on a brand at the back of the property for Mr. and Mrs. Broman. So anyone like to start this off? Councillor Cash?
I don't know if it'll make any difference, but actually I live quite close to there, and it's actually on the front of the, I don't know what they put on the rear, because it's obviously on the front of the property. The property looks out towards the sea, and I've been in the house, so I know its layout fairly well, and it's definitely not at the rear of the property.
It's sort of a corner plot, isn't it, in a way?
Well, yes, but I mean, if you saw it, you could see that the front of the property has got all the main bedroom windows and this downstairs living room windows looking out to a large garden and then with a sea view. And that's where it's going. It's going next to the living room downstairs, which is obviously looking out to the front. That's the front of the house. The rear of the house has got garaging and the door and the kitchen. So I don't know why they've done that. It must just be a mistake, I presume.
I don't know why they call it a cube. It's a funny name. I was just trying to work out.
It didn't even look cube shaped, did it?
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's anyone else want to speak on this? Are you proposing? You're happy with it, though, Councillor Cash? It's not going.
I couldn't see anything actually wrong with it personally, but I just thought it was rather curious.
So we've still got a proposal. That's yes yourself, Councillor Cash. Anyone else want to second it or say anything? No, Councillor Edson.
I'll second that, Chair.
Okay. No one else want to speak on it? Okay. So all those in favour?
Thank you.
There's no against, is there? So that's fine. I'm for it. If you want to put money down, so that's carried.
Thank you.
Report. By the way, it is different doing it online, this, isn't it? It's slightly different when you're in person. First I've done this online, so it's a bit different, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so LW 200394, Cranford, Elverson Road, front extension for Mr. S. Dan. So anyone else want to start this discussion? No, I could go on, Councillor Borman.
Thank you. Well, former councillor Latham would just mention the flat roof. So I think the flat roof actually shouldn't be there. It would look out of keeping because it's on the front of the property, they would look at of keeping. If they'd done a pitched roof, it would have blended in a little bit more. So I'm not actually too keen on it.
No.
So anyone else want to speak on this
Well,
one?
just for the
Go
record,
on.
I agree with that. It was one that sort of flagged up when I looked through them. It sort of flagged up that a front extension, is only acceptable if it's sort of well designed. Really, that front extensions are something to be avoided if possible, especially on a semi-detached. And this one is quite large and flat roofed, as you say. So it does. To me, affect the character a bit of the, in spite of the fence. See, the fence is removable. At the moment, it's screened by a fence, but an extension would be permanent, but a fence is not permanent and can be taken down at any time. So anyway.
Yeah, that particular property is between two roads. There's only a couple of properties, isn't there, between the two roads as such. So the fence is quite, it does dominate that landscape in a way, and I'm not sure, obviously, when you've got another layer on again, how it might be perceived in that particular area. It would certainly change it, in my opinion, but anyone, let's see what anyone else wants to say about it. No, so you propose it, Councillor Edson, do you want us to say anything?
No, I just thought that if it did have a pitched roof, would that be acceptable?
We can mention it possibly, couldn't we? If you wanted to, as opposed to having it sort of more how they describe. I mean, it's still going to be domineering if what they want to do, but it's. But I think are members generally in support of this, or is it more against?
Well, if members are minded to object, then the flat roof element can be sort of mentioned, emphasised in objection. Because a better design would look better, obviously. But if the main objection is a flat roof, then that would I would base the objection on that. But it's up to members to decide which way they want to go.
I mean, for you, Jeff, do you think the fence was built mainly for privacy reasons originally, and that was
yes, I suppose
security as well, maybe?
So as you say, it's a corner plot.
Yeah, I know.
But the fence, I mean, there's a dwarf wall and a fence on top of that, isn't there?
Yeah.
And the fence, as I say, the applicant or the agent in their documentation said, the fronts of the house can't be seen because of the fence, but that's no real reason for allowing something to be done to the front of the house, which could be out of character, because as I said, the extension would be permanent, but the fence is only temporary. It can be taken down at any time if they want, if they want more light. But as I say, it is a privacy fence because it's quite a prominent corner of Old Friston Road. So as I say, it's really just the fact that it's flat roofed and it's quite large. It's not just a porch. It's obviously it's a room. It's something like 4 meters by 3 or something like that. It's
Councillor Lord.
Chair.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you. I absolutely agree with what everybody said. A flat roof is the 1960s. I think we've moved on a bit since then, and I absolutely agree with what the council has been saying. And Jeff, I think yes, I've not got a problem with the extension, but let's have a picture of it. It's in character with what everything else is in Seaford. A flat roof is a garage. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much for that. No, that's well said. It's absolutely right what you said there. So are we going to go? We're going to go against it with overbearing flat roof structure. So that's what we're going to go for. So should we have a proposer for that? So that's Councillor Borman. You're the seconder. Councillor Cash. So all those in favour of rejecting for the overbearing, overdevelopment, and the flat. We mentioned the flat roof in passing, although you can't necessarily defer on that, can you, on the actual flat roof per se? But you have to. It's how you word it, isn't it?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All against. Councillor Lord against. Councillor Lord for the motion to object.
Well, I'm for a pitch roof.
Right.
Mm.
So can we mention can we mention the pitch roof might be a better option? Can we mention it in how you word it? That'd be great.
Right.
Okay, here we are.
Thank you.
Third one of the same week, LW 200464, Malvern House, still in Elveston Road. Demolition existing outbuilding and erection of timber prefabricated single-storey granny annex for ancillary use to main dwelling for Mr. and Mrs. Smoker. So who would like to start this one off? Councillor Borman, you're there first.
Yeah, just a couple of things. Can I just ask Jeff, because when I was looking at this application, there was also another application for a mobile home on site, which obviously isn't on today's, and I haven't seen it on next week's lists either. But they were put in about the same time.
Oh, I think that might have been an application for a lawful use certificate. You know, they wouldn't come to us.
Yeah.
An application to Lewis for Lewis to decide whether it needed formal consent or not. I mean, usually they're put in as a sort of safeguard when you're doing something, when you're proposing to do something, say like putting a mobile home in there or a loft conversion or something like that. If you're pretty sure it doesn't need permission, but you want to make 100% sure, you put in an application for a lawfulness certificate, and then you know the local authority will then confirm one way or the other. So yes, I remember there was an application, and I looked it up in the records, and it was for a certificate of lawfulness,
Right.
and that wouldn't come to us because it's a legal procedural matter rather than anything that requires you know, opinion or discretion in the committee. It's sort of black and white as to whether it fits in with permitted development or not.
Okay,
So what you're trying to say then, Jeff, is it's like standard practice. You often apply that at the same time, essentially.
Well, yeah, they might have asked for a mobile home and then
Yeah.
told that it needed permission. So they might have thought, well, if it needs permission, we might as well put in something more elaborate. I don't know, but they might have just been checking on their different options as to what they might do. I don't know, but I do remember that it was a certificate of lawfulness, as I say, because I saw it in the weekly list and checked. This is more of a substantial wooden structure, isn't it? From what I
This
can
particular,
see.
yeah, this structure is, yes, it's got most of what you can have for basically a standalone property, isn't it?
Yeah,
really?
well.
So what do members think? We need some. Councillor Edson.
Yeah, this was described a granny annex, and they made a lot of the fact that they've got an elderly mother, and I was a bit intrigued to think that there's space. You know, you've got an elderly person in winter, etc. Then I looked up and I found that this house is listed as a B&B.
That's right, it is as well, yeah.
And they cited an instance of a similar thing, and it went to appeal, and the people won the appeal, which was over in Enfield, and they got their granny annex. And I looked up the address and saw that it was a terraced house on a new build in Enfield. Now there's two different things here. I'm just not too sure that they actually mean this dwelling to be a granny annex, or is it an extension of their B&B?
Well,
Yeah, go on, Jeff. Because I've read it as well, but I mean, they have described, haven't they, that it is. They want it to be sort of not. They want it to be linked to the house, don't they? That's what they have.
Councillor Argent's patch, so you might want to speak.
Go on, Councillor Argent. Can't hear you.
It's no longer a B&B.
Ah.
The owners have now moved out, and the people in it now are just running it as a normal private dwelling.
Okay, thank you for that.
To see it, actually, you have to walk up a reasonably long drive. Otherwise, you can't see it from the road.
Fair enough.
Okay, thank you for that. Anyone else want to speak? Councillor Borman, come back. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. One of the things that I was reading that they would be quite happy with was to restrict the use of the annex to only being ancillary, so it could never be a separate dwelling. So I actually think, because they're taking down an outbuilding and replacing it with this building, they say for their mother, but whoever it's for, but I don't actually have an issue with it, so I do propose that we accept it, but with the restriction of it only can be used ancillary for the future as well.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. So you're proposing, yes? Okay, anyone else? Councillor Argent?
I'll second that.
Okay, so we've got proposer and seconder. Anyone else want to talk about this item? Okay, all those in favour of accepting with that particular major condition?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's carried. Thank you.
Right, LW 200388 Homefield Place, Homefield Road. So it's already got planning permission, but it's demolition of existing building and redevelopment of the site to provide a 55 care home with associated access road, rear car parking, landscaping, and amenity space for Barchester Healthcare. So basically, it's the same, but some of the inside stuff is to go up to care needs standards, CQC standards, and so on. So anyone want to talk on this item? There's no really any extra footprint or anything. It's almost just internal works, isn't it?
That's
You
right.
want to say anything, Jeff?
No, I mean it looks a reasonable design to me, but as I say, the principles established. It was given consent. This is slightly different plans, but still a 55-bed care home, still same number of floors, still roughly the same footprint.
Yeah.
Just another company's favouring a different looking development, but otherwise it's the same.
Okay, so anyone want to talk on this? Everyone's happy? Can we have a proposer to accept? Councillor Borman, seconder. Councillor Cash, right, and all those in favour. No one else wants to talk on it. So okay.
That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's carried.
Okay, we haven't got to do against or abstains. That's great.
No.
That's support. Right, so LW 200478 18 College Road, and that's a conversion of the care home.
Yeah, I explained what had happened with that. They shouldn't have sent out a notification. It was sent out early, and when it's validated, whether it's at the next meeting or the meeting in October, it'll come to you for full consideration.
Thank you for that. Okay. So we just note that.
You just need to note that. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, let's move on. LW 200491 53 Alverson Road again. Conversion of existing bungalow into 3 self-contained 2-bedroom units for Faye, Wheatman and Watson. Who would like to start? Councillor, is that you, Councillor Everton? No, Councillor Borman again.
Yeah, thank you. This is a 3-bedroom bungalow, and they're trying to make 3 2-bedroom flats on it. Now I was trying to look at the sizes and the diagrams, and where the sizing is really confusing, because you need 61 square meters for a 2-bedroom property.
Yeah.
And I can't see how a 3-bedroom bungalow can give 61 square meters for 3 2-bedroom flats.
I made it 42 to 45 square meters for each flat, and the box room is very small. The second bedrooms are very small and wouldn't accommodate anyone shouldn't accommodate anyone over the age of 10, I think, on the sizes of it. So yes, I did them in measurements and found it very, very, very cramped.
And it did say it's having a new roof, so I assume they convert the roof at the same time, wouldn't they, to the living space inside there? I mean, I don't know, it's dental.
The third flat was going to be up in the roof.
Yeah.
And then 2 downstairs, but it's still, as Jeff said, that 41 to 45. The ideal is 61. So
yeah, and that's just for 3 people, for 2-bed unit for 3 people. I mean, and this would be for 2 adults and a young child at the most, because the second bedrooms are very small. Certainly one of them is. So yes, I did the measurements the same as Councillor Borman and came to the same conclusion.
It's also out of keeping with the area, because the area is all houses or bungalows, not flats and things. So I propose we reject it.
Okay, on those grounds, I can't support them. Overcrowding that out of keeping of the area. I know there's a couple of houses further up where it just had a couple of flats, one just on the ground and first, but that's it. But not the extent of what this is described as. Councillor Cash.
I would also say in that area of the town, the parking along there is terrible. So you presumably have 3 cars going in where I might have 1 at the moment, and there just isn't any parking.
Well, yeah, go on. Do you want to say something, Jeff, on that? The parking?
Well, yeah, it would need a wider crossover. There's 3 parking spaces at the front, but also just to mention the garden is sort of split into 3 postage stamps, really. It's a very sort of odd arrangement in the garden, just sort of splitting it up into thirds between the 3 of them, with the upper flat having access down the side. It does look very sort of artificial. And really fits in with the way that the property has been split up. It's sort of without giving much thought to the quality, just giving them a tiny bit of amenity space in the garden for each one isn't really feasible. And the parking at the front would need a wider crossover, so it would take away on-street parking. And if there was any need for additional parking, as you say, it would take away. There's just 3 spaces at the front, which would take away on-street parking as well, if there are any extra cars. So yeah, when I looked at it, it didn't really have a lot going for it, as far as I could see. As Councillor Bournemouth has confirmed, it's cramped and it's the thing about the character of the area, there may be some larger houses split into 2 flats, ground floor and first floor. That's fine. But if a property like this is split into 3, then other people owning properties in the area, if consent is granted, might get the same idea. And while precedent isn't supposed to be an issue in planning, you could say, well, it does consent granted in this case would make it more difficult to resist other applications from other house owners in the area for similar developments, and they are woefully below. The floor areas are woefully below the proper standard. They're only just above the standard for 1 person. These flats, as far as space standards are concerned, and while space standards aren't directly a planning issue, you can certainly say that given the restricted floor areas of each of the 3 flats, it would form an extremely cramped development, which without lacking the quality and amenity for the occupants that they should enjoy.
So there we are. So we've got. So were you proposing to object? You were, weren't you, Councillor Bournemouth? Yeah. So we'll have a seconder for that, Councillor Cash. Anyone else want to talk on this? I think it's been discussed. So, so on those grounds which Jeff's just described, really, I'm sure he'll word it appropriately. All those in favour to reject or object to this particular development.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's rejected unanimously.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, okay, next one. LW 20 0487 21 Robert Road. So that's demolish an existing conservatory and build a larger single-story extension to an existing property for Mr. B. Bonham. So anyone want to talk on this item? No, it's fairly straightforward. So yeah, I thought it's fairly straightforward. So if no one wants to talk about it, we just need to propose a seconder. Then if that's everyone's happy, it's Councillor Everton and Councillor Bournemouth. So all those in favour?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Councillor Cash, you're voting for it. You're supporting it.
Me, I'm dithering.
Oh, are you?
I'll go because you're so much more experienced than me. I'll back you up, Gaines.
Yeah, it is. It's basically, I think there's not an awful lot of difference really. It's a slightly bigger build, but it's not really taken up. So it's not taking up too much extra space there. They're just utilising it being south facing, I think. Do you want to say something, Councillor Lord? No, he's happy. Right, okay, well, everyone's happy, so we're supporting. Okay, LW 200509 Hastings Avenue. It's a single-storey rear extension and garage extension for Mr. J. Privet. So, anyone want to? All right, Councillor Borman.
Yeah, it's quite a simple, straightforward extension I see, so I've got no issues with it, so I'm quite happy to propose that we accept it.
Okay, so you're proposing, have a seconder, please. Councillor Evenden. Anyone else want to talk on the matter? No. So all those in favour to support the application?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Unanimous, supported.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're now LW 190869, ground floor 41 to 43 High Street. The retrospective applications change the floor in front of the shop for Mr. Amory. That's the dentist's. So who would like to start? Councillor Borman.
I don't like retrospective applications, but this does make the area more inviting. It does look a better storefront for his surgery, and so therefore I do propose we accept it.
Thank you. That's your proposing. So Councillor Evans, you're accepting it?
Yeah.
Okay, so anyone else want to talk about the dentists? No, it's...
When we support it, do you want to say that we regret the fact that there's a further retrospective application from this applicant, but nevertheless, having considered the merits of the application, we support it, something like that?
Yeah, because it's actually in a lot of ways, on a personal, I think it is an improvement. So, but yeah. it's just we prefer it up front, really.
Well, I mean, I won't. Yeah. Do you want me to mention it or not, or just say that you're?
Does it cost him extra, Jeff?
No, it cost him.
So, yeah.
So we're supporting the application.
It's a conservation area, I think.
I know it is a conservation. Yeah, it is. Just
you'd expect. Well, you'd hope that people in the conservation area would do the right thing. He has different ideas, but I don't think it's unfair to say you regret the fact that it's a further retrospective application from this applicant, but nevertheless you feel that that it can be supported or something along those lines, because I think it's worth saying.
Absolutely. Because
can we say that we feel that this one is acceptable?
Yes, this particular one, but not the others. Yeah.
No, I don't think that last thing we'll miss that one out. The last little bit you said there, Jeff. But we're okay for this particular property, so that's fine. So all those in favour then of supporting this particular application?
Thank you.
That's it. Unanimous. Thank you. Okay, LW 200416 28 Horth Crescent. So it's a single story front extension for Mr. Gregory. Anyone want to speak on this item? It's gone, Councillor Borman.
Right, can I just note that it's actually 26 Horth Crescent, not 28?
Yep, could take that. We'll alter that. Yep.
Yeah.
But I've got no issues with this extension. I know the area well, and it looks in keeping, and I'm quite happy to support the application.
Good. So we've got a proposer. Anyone else want a seconder, please? So Councillor Edson, anyone else want to talk on the matter? Nope. So all those in favour to support the application?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Still in the same area, LW 200502. 38 Horth Park Road, not too far away. Carriage conversion with front and rear extensions for Elizabeth Waller. Anyone want to talk on this one?
No. Nothing special, is there?
No.
Oh, hang on. Liz thinks there.
Go on, Councillor Edson. Go on. You as you spoke. No, nothing special. As you say it.
No. I didn't think nothing special, but Liz might.
I mean, the only thing you could say, it's a loss of a garage, but then it's probably not been used for a garage anyway. So this day and age, some people just use it as an extra room, don't they, for storage and things. So there we are. Did you want to say something, Councillor Borman?
Only that, to start with, I couldn't make up my mind on the application. It's a loss of a garage, and some people do like garages when they buy properties, but the amount of garages we have converted in areas that people need additional rooms, and they still do have the parking on their front, so I'm fine with it.
That's what I think. I think that it would be a different matter if possibly if it didn't have the parking right in front. They'd want to use that to park the car, wouldn't they? That's forever go. So anyway, in this case, then we're happy with what they're doing. So we got who was proposing? Was it Councillor Edson? Can't remember now. Were you proposing? Or have I not asked for a proposer? I don't think I have, have I?
I think I seconded that, didn't I?
Well,
It doesn't matter.
It was proposing then. Was it you, Councillor Bourne? I can't remember.
I'll propose it. I'll propose it.
Okay, so Councillor Edson's proposing and Councillor Bourne's seconding. So Councillor Everton.
Oh, hang on.
Say something. She's. Okay, I think we've got a seconded proposer, and so all those in favour were to support the application.
Yeah.
Right, thank you.
So we had no applications received on the 9th, week starting the 9th of August. So back into the planning applications received on the week commencing 16th of August. And this is another garage door business, garages. LW 20031 13 Fitzgerald Avenue, conversion of integral garage into study storage area by removing garage doors and installing UPVC windows and doors for Jonathan Medicote. Does anyone like to say anything? Is that application?
Councillor Cash.
Councillor Cash, sorry, go on.
This is another area where the parking is shocking, up on the pavements along right along the road. But having said that, there are so many other houses who've had this conversion done. I think it would be, you know, we wouldn't have good reason to say no, but it is a problem in that area, parking. They're supposed to all have parking behind the houses, which nobody uses.
Yeah, sometimes it's a balance, isn't it, between, as you say, between leaving a garage itself and parking the car and so on. So, but sometimes you have to. Sometimes if you need extra room for a family member, then this is what often happens, isn't it? So anyone else want to speak on this item at all? Okay. So we have. Are you proposing, Councillor Cash?
I wouldn't propose it. I will support it if somebody else has proposed it because I've got slight reservations.
Okay, who would like to?
I'll propose it.
Okay, Councillor Everton. So anyone want to second it? Councillor Edson. Anyone else want to speak on the matter? No. So all those in favour of this particular application?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's carried unanimously. Support.
Thank you very much for that. We've got this application for the Seaford National Park, SDMP 20-02014/FUL, Seven Sisters Country Park and Exceed. This is phase one of various items going on, including new visitor centre, camping sites further in, cottages being extended, but basically a bit of a modernisation of the area. Really, it's not as though it's sort of starting from scratch. It's almost like an improvement in the national park's eyes, and so this is the phase one of it. So. Anyone want to start this off? There's an awful lot of literature out there, as you know, on the website. Was there over 200 items, wasn't there?
Yeah.
200.
Did all members?
Jeff, do you want to do a bit of an introduction?
I'm just checking that every member got the email that I circulated a couple of days ago, which explained, you know, why this had come to it. It was submitted May-June, and it's only just come to us because only Cuckmere Valley Parish were notified, and I thought, well, I knew that East Dean Parish Council were interested in this as a resident of East Dean, and I obviously knew that Seaford Town Councillors would be interested as well because it's such an important site, so close to the boundary. And I think the National Park Authority took the point and said they said they didn't consult us because it wasn't in our parish, which is a bit blinkered, I think. But they are going to extend the consultation so that we can get comments in, and they're taking it to their planning committee on the 9th of October or the 8th of October. I think it's the 8th of October. It's a Thursday. So it is quite complex. There's a lot of plans. There's a lot of information to take in. If members want to defer it to the next meeting, then there will still be time to get our comments in well before the planning committee of the National Park Authority on the 8th of October. East Dean are doing the same. They're considering it their meeting in mid-September. So it's just a question of it's the sort of application that local residents are interested in. There's quite a few local residents have submitted objections or submitted comments as well. So members might want to take soundings from other people in the town before responding, because it's quite a significant application. Those buildings that they propose to refurbish and bring into use have been derelict for quite a long time. I suppose because the East Sussex County Council just haven't had the funding to do anything about them. But it's one of those applications which is caught between it being great in principle to have these buildings brought back into use, but it can pose a problem especially in the height of the summer at the moment, with parking and the general activity that it creates, being on that corner of the A259, people running across the road, the buses, the coaches, and the lack of parking around there. So as I say, it's got issues which need to be considered quite carefully. So it's up to members whether they want to consider it now or have a further look at it, see what comments are coming in, and defer it for consideration at the next meeting on the 17th.
Anyway, Councillor Argent.
My thoughts on the matter are, with the new Exeat Bridge going in, whereabouts is that going to end up on that corner?
You weren't thinking of the other corner with that, Councillor Argent? I mean, there's two corners effectively, going over the initial river, then you've got the corner going around the bend, going up to before you got up the hill. I mean, it depends what you mean by
when you go round the bend, you can turn right into a car park there, can't you?
You're talking about the Cutmere Inn pub now. You're talking about we're looking more the other side, really, closer to the visitor centre area.
The road is. I think the road is going to be altered there, is it not?
Yeah, well, this is not really in this plan as such, Councillor Argent. This is not in this particular. That's more what the highways are doing. East Sussex are doing that particular the new bridge and everything. I mean, if it was me, I'd like to have the bridge open before they sort of start doing the work at the Exeat, because if it's going to be even more busy than what it is at the moment, it'd be nice to get that bridge done as soon as you can, as soon as possible. I don't know what the time frame is on that. Councillor Edson.
It's interesting to note that the Cuckmere Valley Parish Council is not keen.
No,
I did read. I was reading through the objections to start with, and I noticed that the Cuckmere Valley Parish Council have got reservations about it.
But the dredging is not further on the harbour. Is not again not really part of the scheme. It's more environment agency, isn't it? It's more there.
No. Yeah, a lot of people was complaining about the fact that the estuary is silting up, but I can't see that it's a connection actually.
They are actually going to do some dredging next month, what I've heard anyway, on that separate issue.
Okay. Councillor Bournemouth, would you like to say something?
Yeah, thank you. I've started looking through all the documents, and I couldn't actually this evening make a judgment on it because I haven't read enough of them. So I do propose to give us another 3 weeks and defer it till the next meeting.
So we've got a seconder for that. Then we just so you're going to propose we defer Councillor Argent. So that's great. So we got that for now. Anyone else want to speak for now? Do you want to speak, General Councillor?
There's one issue I want to mention. Sorry to labour it. When we were invited to open days on this scheme, for suggestions, there were open days back in January, February. Seems like a long time ago, where residents and other people, the town councillors, were invited along to have a look at the initial plans and make suggestions as to what might be included. I went along there and made a suggestion of something which I've been concerned about for a time, which is that the National Park Authority has no real representation in this area that everything's at Midhurst. Whenever we got any planning queries or anyone, an enforcement matter at East Dean more than Seaford, an enforcement matter which involves the officer usually coming down to see the site, is always left to the complainant to sort of photograph and send back to Midhurst, because it takes the officer all day to do a site visit because he has to come to and from Midhurst. And I suggested that there be some sort of representation of the Park Authority, like a sort of small planning office, maybe not manned full time, at the extended accommodation at the Seven Sisters. Well, they are extending office accommodation, but it's only down as a ranger's office. Now, I don't know what other members think, because I think that, you know, although Seaford doesn't generate many applications within the South Downs area, having the headquarters at Midhurst does cause a problem, and it's sort of a local planning authority that isn't really local, and they could do with a representation in the east of the area, even if it's just part-time, so that people can go down there and raise planning queries face to face, rather than have to deal with Midhurst, which is 60 miles away. So I don't know if some of the members sympathise with that, then that could be an issue which we include, because at the moment there is office accommodation, refurbished office accommodation in there, but only for the downland rangers. So I just thought I'd throw that in.
I think it's a big good idea if there's some sort of agile space. So if a planning officer from Midhurst or wherever they particularly live and want to come down there, they've got space so they can basically log in and do the necessary. I think it would be worth it. If they're going to do an office or a ranger anyway, they might as well. It's not going to be impossible, is it, to make a few spaces?
It might be more of an East Dean matter, because although Seaford's applications are dealt with, South Downs applications are dealt with by Lewis, which is fine, because you've got the local element there. But all the applications for the South Downs Park within the Wealden area go to Midhurst, because Wealden's computer system wasn't compatible with South Downs. So Lewis's computer system was. So when South Downs was set up, Lewis were okay, their computer system fitted in, they were able to deal with South Downs applications. Wealden's applications all go to Midhurst. So from East Dean residents' point of view, that's not really satisfactory. So it could be more of an East Dean matter than a Seaford matter, but I thought I'd mention it anyway, because there's a chance for sort of representation to be sort of established at this office, which would sort of help the eastern end of the area think that it's being looked after. Whereas the feeling now that people get is that everything is concentrated a bit on West Sussex and Hampshire, which is you know, where the Midhurst office is based. When you go to Midhurst, you see Midhurst, welcome to Midhurst, centre of the South Downs National Park, and I always turn my head away when I see that, because I think, you know.
But that's not so much of a visitor centre there so much in Midhurst. It's more for the staff, isn't it?
Is that, yeah? Well, I think as the staff are based around Midhurst, I think sometimes that they just get more attention than the eastern end, because it's an odd shape. It's a sort of long sausage shape. It's not a nice square with the headquarters in the middle. It's a rather unwieldy shape, and the eastern end, as I say, it doesn't get a lot of attention because it's rather distant. But anyway, it may be just me being awkward, but I just thought I'd throw that in.
No, I think we'll include that when we do the 3-week follow-up, and just to say a little bit of space, a little agile space in this day and age. That's what you call it, isn't it?
Exactly. It should be. It's got room to be flexible.
Yeah, basically. So we're gonna vote to postpone our full comments until 3 weeks' time. Are you happy, Councillor Lord, on that?
Well, I was just going to say, reinforce what Jeff said. I work for Wealden District Council.
I know you do.
And the South Down National Park are very, very difficult to deal with. We've had problems with them at Burling Gap. Having said that, I call it Turkey Farm because I have regular meetings down there with the rangers. The place is ripe for development. Providing its development in the right way, in keeping with the area, I think what they propose is quite right. If we don't develop them shortly, then they're going to go into rack and ruin, because the Rangers, who are supported by East Sussex County Council, really can't afford to keep the buildings up to scratch. So I think really, on one hand, yeah, East Sussex County Council have not got a beam to refurbish the place. If the National Parks are going to refurbish it, provided refurbished in the manner in which we call it turkey farm, because like we have meetings down there, I think it's a good proposal. Because if we don't do something shortly, that development will just literally fall down on its knees. In addition to that, when you go there, there's quite a large courtyard in the centre of the development, which they're proposing. You can get 15 cars there quite easily off the main road. So in one respect, yes, it's in Seaford National Park. They're proposing it. And let's face it, when I submit plan applications to Seaford National Park, it takes so long to get through. If they're proposing it and East Sussex County Council want to get the ranges away from there, it'll be a straightforward process with them to redevelop an area and generate income for that particular. It's on a bad corner, I'll give you that. There's a lot of pros and cons. But as far as I'm concerned, when I go down there, you know, you can travel, we say no entry, you can travel them quite easy. So on balance, yes, I think we need more time to evaluate the proposal. But having said that, if we don't do something about it sooner or later, East Sussex County Council, without the support of Seaford National Park, we're going to have a beautiful, basically was we call it the turkey farm, but actually it's a milking house. We could be placed in a position where we like literally having the damn thing drop to death. So I'm going to say, well, it's a tricky one, but if somebody's got some money to put money into it and redevelop it sympathetically, then yeah. Got the parking there, yeah. But like I said, we've not seen the full application in its detail. And Jeff's quite right. You're dealing with somebody in Chichester. Well, I do Chichester. Jeff's talking Millers, but I deal with Chichester. They're too far away. And I think Jeff's absolutely right. We should have a recipient from the Seaford National Park in and around the Seaford or district area, because I've submitted an application. I would drive all the way down there. Like I said, it's a daily job just to submit a plan. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much for that. I'm sure in a way I think it's more to get the additional comments as well. I'm not sure. I mean, a lot of the you say when you read around some of the existing objections, it's more not so much I don't like what's going on there. It's more the infrastructure surrounding it. It seems to be one of the major issues than anything else. So it's how we word that in 3 weeks' time, really. So we'll have another look and we'll be a bit more constructive and come up with something. Thank you for that, Councillor Lord. So we're going to just vote to just postpone for the 3 weeks, and then we'll discuss it again and come up with some recommendations and so on, and some sort of decision which way we're going to go. So all those in favour of doing that?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's unanimous.
That's unanimous to move it in 3 weeks' time. Thank you very much for that. So we've got a 3 weeks application. This is actually one of the most comprehensive ones I think we've seen actually for a long time. It's TW200062, and that's at the Lodge at Eastbourne Road, which boundaries onto the Newlands site, of course. I don't need to go through all the application, but it's obviously for Mr. and Mrs. Harrison. I don't know the tree expert. One's on the boundary with obviously with the other site, isn't it? One of the trees, which I couldn't understand why they didn't look at it before. The district council weren't interested before, so there's a few issues there. Does anyone want to start and talk about it? The tree experts. Who's the tree expert here? I'd like to have a chat on it. It's Councillor Edson, go on. Yes.
They've had a tree expert in there, and they did have an application turned down.
Yeah, I couldn't
in the past. But obviously, time's gone on, and this particular report, I think, more or less, tells the right story. They've got that buyback And
It sums up the application, doesn't it? It sums up where we are. I mean, if you go past it now, it's really enclosed, that particular lodge. Things need happening to it.
that's right. And if it got problems with the piping underneath, well, you know, I think that should be taken into consideration.
Absolutely. I think there's one tree there which is on the right on the boundary, isn't it? We're off their site or something, isn't it? Which is something they'll have to resolve that. Who should do that particular work, isn't it?
But trees do sometimes cause a problem.
Absolutely, yes. When they are fairly large now, aren't they? They're all the ones we're looking at. Councillor Borman.
Yeah, thank you. This report seems to be saying the same as the previous report, which then got turned down. So I'm not too sure. I don't like killing trees for no reason. And this is two of them. They're trying to. If it's agreed to, can we not agree that they plant saplings like further away from the house on their boundaries or something, that just to try and compensate something, because it does affect the environment. Obviously, if we're just taking down trees, then we need to replace them as well.
Yeah, just say I'm sure this extensive report will be looked at Lewis in a big way. The officers there, so
I think if they were to agree the felling of the tree, there would automatically be a requirement to replace. But there's no harm in us emphasising that if you want to in your response.
So people are generally happy with what's in that report and the way forward. We'll go on their particular recommendations, and we'll state that obviously if a tree does come down, then we'll replace that like for like, so to speak, with a smaller size replacement. So everyone happy with that? We've got a second proposer for this proposer, Councillor Edson and Councillor Bournemouth. Do you fancy second it? That's fantastic. So all those in favour to support this particular application?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in favour, 7 unanimous.
Right, unanimous. Thank you very much for that. Right, we now move over to agenda item 5, changes to the current planning system, public consultation. So it's quite a big report there. God, do you want to introduce it?
It's so big. Well, I mean,
I know we're looking at the short version tonight, aren't we?
I tried to make it speak for itself. I don't really want to add anything because I hope it's sort of relatively straightforward. You know, there's 3 or 4 sections to it. I'm trying to find a copy of it in my records, but I haven't got a copy in front of me, unfortunately, at the moment. So, but obviously I recall what's in it, and I could. If I wanted to look at it on this computer, I'd have to blank you out and go to it. But obviously, the issues are, you know, the increase in the size of the development, where affordable housing will be required from 10 units to 40 or 50, in order to assist smaller developers, is the main issue really, and the fact of building in this. Assistance for first-time buyers through the new homes initiative, which is like the Help to Buy initiative, first homes, I mean, which will also reduce the amount of affordable housing. Now, the government obviously is still committed to affordable housing and say that there will be the same amount of affordable housing, if not more, provided, but it is difficult to see how that can be achieved given these changes. Let's say that the balance needs to be struck between assisting people on the waiting list with providing enough affordable housing, but also assisting small developers who may have suffered financially during the lockdown. But as I say, it appears to favour the developer, and in that it's sort of going to affect the flow of affordable housing, or the provision of affordable housing. So pinched by both ends, from the First Homes Initiative and the fact that that smaller sites won't have to make any contributions.
So is there going to be no sill? That's how I read that. So there's no.
Yeah, that comes into the next report I'm doing, which is the report about local plans and infrastructure payments. There's the two papers really. This paper is on changes which can come in relatively quickly because they don't need primary legislation. The other paper, which you've heard about in the news about local plans and zoning areas for growth and things like that, and where planning applications won't need to be considered because they'll be automatically approved if they're in a growth area. In other words, all the consultations will be carried out on the local plan, and once the local plan is approved, then applications for residential development in areas zoned for growth will automatically be approved. Now that will need primary legislation, which might take a year or two to go through because it will be quite controversial. Despite the fact that there's quite a large majority, there may be dissension across the board. So the second lot of the white paper that will come to you next time will be the major changes which need primary legislation. The changes in this report are ones that can come in relatively quickly, just by changes in ministerial guidance and changes in policy documents, which can be done almost immediately. So that's what this paper is concentrating on. The infrastructure payments, the abolition of SIL will come in the primary legislation.
So will details in our neighbourhood plan get involved in all this? Just think of the Seaford per se. Will the neighbourhood plan sort of get used as part of?
Well, in a way, it overrides the neighbourhood plan. I mean, the neighbourhood plan system came up under the move towards localism, under the Localism Act, which was the first flagship act of the Conservative government, came in 2010. Things have in a way turned full circle, and this is a move towards centralisation. And taking away the discretion of the local authority. The local authority will draw up the plan. That will go to the planning inspectorate. Once the planning inspectorate has approved and made the local authority make some changes, then that's it. The areas for growth will automatically get permission, and there'll be no more democratic input. It's a move towards centralisation, which a lot of people will support, because there's the feeling that leaving it to local authorities delays the procedures too much and stops achievement of the targets which the government is aiming for. I'm being completely neutral here, but it's definitely a full circle from the localism of 2010, 2011, which introduced neighbourhood plans and wanted to get people more involved, round to a much more central planning system, similar to other countries in Europe where land is zoned, and once it's zoned, then all discretion and everything is removed, and all the only input is not how many houses, not whether houses go on there and how many houses, but really the design and layout, which is only a small part of the whole equation. As I say, that will be, I'm working on that report at the moment, and that will be, it was really too much to report in one go, so I've split it up that way. So this report covers, as I say, the immediate changes, and the other report on planning for the future will be the local plans and the infrastructure payment changes.
So do members want to talk about any of the items in this particular agenda item 5, which Jeff's actually summarised, or they're sort of reasonably happy, you know where you are with it, and was it a question of we're accepting what's going on at the moment? I mean, we don't really want to make any input to anywhere. We have got a chance to if we need to.
Well, yeah, SALC are sort of coordinating a response from what I've heard, but I haven't had any contact with SALC, but I know that they are coordinating a response through NALC as well, because it's expected that parish councils will, well, all councils will want to submit comments on this.
Unless you want to say combined comment, unless you want to do a comment next time, maybe or not.
Well, yes. I mean that's
Still
feasible.
time, haven't we?
When I say I didn't really have time to do the whole lot in one go.
No.
And I thought it might be a bit sort of a bit too much to take in all in one go. And there are links between the two papers. So if once I've got the next report to you on the local plans and the more major changes which require legislation, then you might want to do, you know, an overall response to the two, because we've got plenty of time, because the dates for the deadline dates for consultation fall in October. So there's plenty of time if you want to carry on chewing things over and read this report together with the next one, which will come to you in a couple of weeks' time. That's fine.
So members happy doing that, Councillor Borman?
Yeah, it's just a shame. Lewis District Council has put out training for district councillors for the 28th of September on the Planning for the Future paper.
Wow.
Which we then, I was looking at the dates, we haven't got a date for a planning meeting until after the consultation responses after that. So
I think the consultation response is the end.
15th of October, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we've got our October meeting is on the
15th.
Seaford Town Council. We've got 17th of September, and so it must be about the 8th of October, I think. If you want to just take the reports in and consider them on the 8th of October, then we would still make the consultation deadline, I think.
I'm just thinking that I don't know whether Jim's going to the training session, but I know I will be, and we can feed back what we've heard from Lewis District to all of you, and that might actually help with a little bit of extra information as well.
Yeah, it would be interesting to know what the planners at Lewis District say about it, because yes, I mean, I've just been relying on my reading of it, you know. So yes, it'd be interesting to see what others think. And I haven't got the deadline dates, you know, access to them, but I'm sure that even if it were another 2 meetings time on the 8th of October that we finally decided it, you know, I could get a report to you in September, but I don't think we've missed the deadline if we were to respond, say, by mid-October.
Okay, I propose then, yeah, so I propose then obviously if Councillor Lord and Councillor Bourne are going to be going to this training, and that'll help their thinking as well. And if you can, yeah, when you're ready with Jeff, there's no desperate rush, is there, to work on some of the white paper and get some sort of summary paper to us? That'd be fantastic when you're ready, when your own time, obviously. Yeah. Then maybe we'll consider it all on that first meeting in October, if everyone's happy with that.
Yeah, I just checked the consultation deadline dates. I'm just looking at the government website now. If you just bear with me. Just scrolling down. I can't find it for the moment, but I'd say that I know they're in October. And I think one is mid-October and the other's the end of October, so it should be okay. On the 8th of October. Okay.
Okay, right. So I propose then we defer it to one of the probably the first meeting in October then, or for the town council's meeting. And do I need to second that? Okay, so I'll propose that then, and you're going to second that, Councillor Borman. So that'll be put it a bit more time to put it in a different perspective as well when we get a bit more input. So all those in favour of that to defer?
Right, thank you.
Okay, that's good. That's unanimous. Okay, agenda item 6, proposed footpath diversion order at Tide Mills Railway Crossing. Any comments on that particular report which has been presented? Now this is more the footpath side. The actual approval of the bridge has already been approved and so on. It's just surrounding it. You have to do it on a formal way, don't they? That's why we're here to discuss.
There has to be a separate diversion order.
Yeah.
It doesn't automatically come with the planning application. So they're just going to link Mill Drove is the current footpath, obviously, it goes over the pedestrian crossing. There'll be a link between Mill Drove and the foot of the footbridge, and the path will be diverted over the footbridge, which, as I said earlier, was in sections of 1 in 20 gradient slopes with rests, level rest areas going up the side and then across and then down. And it's apparently been designed, obviously, to ease wheelchair access. And they actually do say that the gates at the moment are not really easily accessible because of the need to maneuver around. I think it's a kissing gate or something like that at the moment.
Yes, it is at the moment.
So although the footbridge is divided opinion over safety on the one hand and the appearance of it on the other, and there's been a lot of objections to the appearance of it, it nevertheless was given consent because the South Downs Authority sort of favoured the safety issue over the visual issue. So as I say, at least Network Rail have offered to come down and explain on site with the officers, what they're going to do and where, and exactly what they propose. The officer from Network Rail said that she was willing to meet us in August or September. So I thought, well, I'd bring it to you, to members today, and then get some initial views if there were any concerns or views of members, and then arrange in September the site visit that Network Rail are requesting so that they can explain things to us.
I mean, I'll be interested in visiting the site, but obviously I know it's very hard to get everyone to go because there'll always be some conflict for someone. So we just have to see. I'm sure as long as you make it, Jeff, that'll be the main thing.
Well, yeah. I mean, I can let you know when it is.
Yeah.
I haven't arranged it yet. I was waiting. I got an email from the Network Rail today to say that she just await the comments of this committee and meet me sometime next month at a convenient time.
Can anyone remember while we're here what colour the actual bridge is going to be? Because if you look further, obviously to the west with the port access road, that's that dark sort of green sort of blends in quite well now. I was just wondering if they were doing it more that colour, but I can't remember without reading everything what they were going for.
The actual bridge across the railway is going to be charred wood.
Oh right, so it will be a darker colour then, basically, similar to port access road towards New Haven.
Natural. Trying to keep it natural and in line with the keeping of the area as well.
Distressed wood sort of thing.
Sounds good.
Mm.
Yep. Thank you for that. My mind went blank what colour it was going to be. That's why. That's what I thought it in as we're talking about it. I'm sure they'll do a good job with the path going up to the bridge and around it and so on. And I'm sure it'll look very good when it actually gets done. So we're just taking notes of it, really, aren't we? There's nothing to add, really. Everyone's sort of happy, aren't they? Is it just as it?
Well, the gradient is 1 in 20, which apparently is okay for wheelchairs and or mobility scooters and things. So I'll obviously say that generally you're happy with it, but you're pleased that they've offered to have a site visit, and I'll meet them on site. And any other concerns, any other issues that come up on the site visit, I can report to you at the next meeting or the October meeting, depending when it is. Okay.
Fantastic. So we're just noting that today, aren't we? We're not doing voting on anything. So, okay, right. So we've come to the last item, agenda item 7, update report. So anything there of interest?
There's the names of the Newlands development.
Oh yeah, the road names. Yeah.
Yes, it's a mixture of local names or local. Prominent local residents and a few World War II names put in to commemorate the 75th anniversary of the ending of World War II, which I think was the idea of putting World War II names forward. So I think there's a mixture of both, isn't there? There's maybe and Bury as well, and
There was obviously Newlands Place, isn't there? I know.
Oh, yeah, and Chittenden as well.
Yeah,
Which-
you have to have that
Yeah.
there. Yeah, for the original owner, wasn't it, Chittenden?
historical reason, the Chittenden Trust and everything. So yes, it's in a way it's a mixture of Newlands, prominent local residents, and the Second World War names. But Lewes District Council would have chosen the most appropriate names after consulting the emergency services and looking at other road names in the area to make sure that wouldn't get confused with any other names and send fire engines to the wrong place or whatever, you know, because that's the main purpose of having Lewes District Councils centralise this. They run the property and land gazetteer, and an officer there liaises with the post office, the ambulance and fire service and police to make sure that everyone's happy with the new name. So in a way, that's, you know, we make suggestions, but the final decision has to be made by them because of the importance of getting names which won't get confused with any other place.
Yeah, I noticed there's
Go
no
on, Councillor Bourne,
Everton
yep.
Drive there, and I was quite disappointed.
No Everton Drive. We're not dead.
Yeah.
Oh, does anyone want to talk about any other application anywhere in there? Anyone want to talk about anything? Councillor Bourne, you still want to say anything or not? No?
No, I just want to actually
Just
say, can we thank Lewes District Council for taking consideration of the names we put forward, and I understand why they go to a wider community and the names they've chosen, but
Yeah, I'm sure they'll be pleased with that. I've already thanked them for doing that, but I've had a good relationship with the officers at Lewes over this, so I think it's quite appropriate we do thank them. So yeah, thanks for that.
So can you just do this, yeah, can you just quickly just do one more as it's been to us, and just to say that.
taken into consideration a lot of what we've said.
I think we're losing the line, Councillor Bourne, for yourself. I think that's all been said now. She's gone a bit frozen, I think. So I think we're just going to note the report then now with that extra just word when Jeff reports back. We'll just mention it one more time. It's been to committee, and we just mention those names, and we're all happy. Basically, that's all we've basically got to say. And it took note of the people and the war.
Right in the middle.
Connected with the war.
Sure.
So you're back,
Sure.
Councillor. Oh, Councillor Lord, go on. Sorry.
Yes, I would love to go with Jeff with regards to the bridge and the Kissing Gate. I'd just love to go there to see what's happening.
Yeah.
And if Jeff could give me the heads up when he's going to go there,
Yeah.
I would love to meet him there. Just to find out what's going on, because I've had one or two rumours right in my area with regards to the bridge and also the disabled access session. I just love to meet you there. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'll put that in the resolution that members asked to be notified of the date and time of the site visit. Okay.
That'd be good. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, I think so. We're noting agenda item 7 now, and I think that really concludes our meeting, doesn't it?
Yep.
So everyone's happy.
Yeah.
So we'll conclude the meeting at 2020.